There's a shocking statistic that haunts the marble halls of the world's wealthiest families. It's a quiet fear, whispered among those who have everything to lose. Data consistently shows that 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, and a staggering 90% lose it by the third. It's a cycle so common it has its own name, from shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. The first generation builds the empire. The second enjoys it. And the third, they're so far removed from the struggle that built it, they often squander it all away. And yet, a handful of families manage to break the curse. You have the Rockefellers, who have kept and grown their influence for over a century, while the Vanderbilts, who once had an almost unimaginable fortune, saw it mostly vanish. So what's the difference? What's the secret that separates fleeting riches from a real dynasty? Now, most people would point to fancy investment portfolios, complicated trusts, and clever tax planning, and they'd be partly right. But the real secret, the one that truly governs their long-term success, is hiding in plain sight. It's in their garages, their country homes, their vaults, and floating in the harbors of Monaco and St. Bart's. What if I told you that for the world's richest families, a super yacht isn't just a wild extravagance, but a cold, calculated business decision? While most people see luxury as a way to spend money, old money has a secret. They use it to make and protect their money for generations. Today, we're unlocking the playbook that turns mansions, yachts, and fine art from pricey toys into the very cornerstones of a financial empire. When you picture a billion-dollar fortune, you probably imagine a life of just wild spending, a different supercar for every day of the week, spontaneous trips on a private jet, parties that would make Gadsby look tame. This is the world of new money, wealth that's loud, flashy, and often tragically short-lived. It's a mindset of pure consumption, where you buy assets for the status they bring and the fun they provide. A Lamborghini is a fast car. A mansion is a big house. A painting is just a pretty picture on the wall. In financial terms, they're liabilities. They cost a fortune to own, maintain, and insure. Old money plays a completely different game. It's a world of quiet luxury and stealth wealth, where the main goal isn't showing off the money, but making sure it lasts forever. For them, every big purchase is seen through a multi-generational lens. Their philosophy isn't about consumption, but about utility, longevity, and income. They look at a sprawling country estate and don't just see a weekend getaway. They see a potential film set, a luxury wedding venue, a working farm with timber rights. They see an asset that makes money. They look at a Patek Philippe watch and don't just see a fancy timepiece. They see a highly liquid, portable store of value that can be passed down or sold anywhere in the world, a perfect hedge against volatile markets and currencies. This shift in mindset is everything. It's the difference between treating wealth as a pile of cash to be spent and treating it as a living thing to be nurtured and grown. It's about figuring out that the best way to stay rich is to make sure your luxuries pay for themselves. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the 4 core strategies these families use to turn their lavish lifestyles into an unbreakable legacy. So forget everything you think you know about how the rich spend their money. We're about to see how generational wealth really works. Chapter 1. The multi-generational estate as a cash-flowing asset. Let's start with the classic symbol of old money, the grand family estate. For most of us, owning a massive historic mansion sounds like a financial nightmare. The property taxes alone could fund a small town. The upkeep on a 50-room house with perfect gardens, a full staff, and a roof that's been leaking since the 1920s is a bottomless money pit. It's the peak of lifestyle inflation, an asset that does nothing but eat cash. This is exactly why so many new mansions get sold off within a generation. The kids inherit the house, but they don't inherit the income needed to keep it afloat. It becomes an anchor that drags the family's finances right to the bottom. So that's the problem, but for old money, the solution is to completely reframe what the estate is for. It's not a home, it's the headquarters of the family dynasty. It's a landmark, a brand, and most importantly, a diversified business. The most famous example is the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. Built by George Vanderbilt II in the late 1800s, this 250-room chateau is the biggest private home in the United States. If his descendants had treated it just as a house, they would have been bankrupt. The heating bills alone would have been insane. Instead, when they were facing financial trouble in 1930, they made a brilliant move. They opened the estate to the public. Today, the Biltmore Company is a booming business. It's not just a house tour, it's a massive hospitality and agricultural operation. The estate has a winery that's one of the most visited in the country, making award-winning wines from grapes grown right there. It has multiple hotels on the grounds for different budgets. It hosts concerts, art shows, and high-end weddings. The grounds are used for horseback riding, fly fishing, and hiking. The estate's farms grow food for its own restaurants. It's even been a filming location for movies like Forrest Gump and The Last of the Mohicans. The Biltmore is no longer a liability, it's a cash-flowing asset that employs thousands of people and pulls in hundreds of millions in revenue. It preserves the family's legacy not by locking it away, but by turning it into a business. The family didn't just inherit a house, they inherited a business, and they've run it like savvy CEOs. This is the old money playbook in action.
And it's not just the Vanderbilts. All over the world, historic family estates are being used in similar ways. They get historic preservation grants for tax breaks and maintenance. They lease out their land for farming, solar panels, or forestry. They host corporate retreats, rent out parts of the house on luxury websites, and build exclusive brands around their name. The house stops being a symbol of wealth that's been spent and becomes an engine for creating new wealth. The main idea is to stop thinking like a homeowner and start thinking like a CEO. The property is just a bundle of potential revenue streams. The gardens can host events. The library can be a private museum. The land can generate resources. By turning on these streams, the estate not only pays for its own crazy upkeep, but also adds to the family's bottom line. It becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem that cements the family's power in a region for centuries, all while giving them a beautiful place to hang out. It's turning a symbol into a system, and that's the first key to how old money builds generational wealth. Chapter 2. The yacht as a business and a tax advantage. All right, let's move from the land to the sea. If there's one asset that just screams pointless billionaire toy, it's the super yacht. A 200-foot boat can cost over $50 million to buy, and that's just to get started. The rule of thumb is that your annual running costs, fuel, crew, maintenance, insurance, docking fees, will be about 10% of the purchase price. So that $50 million yacht costs its owner a cool $5 million a year, every single year, just to sit there. It's a financial black hole that loses value faster than almost anything else. For the new money crowd, this is just the price you pay to be in the ultra-elite club. The yacht is a floating palace for fun and a huge status symbol. It's the ultimate way to say, I've made it. And there's nothing wrong with that, except it's a terrible financial move. Old money, though, looks at a yacht and sees something else entirely. They know the costs all too well, but they also see a chance to turn a massive liability into a self-funding, tax-advantaged business. The secret comes down to one word: charter. Instead of letting the yacht sit empty in a marina for 48 weeks a year, they put it into a professional charter program. This one move completely changes the yacht from a personal toy into a business asset in the eyes of the taxman. To make it work, the owner has to show they're actively trying to make a profit. This isn't just a hobby. It means having a business plan, marketing, and a professional crew managing the charters. Once the yacht is a legitimate business, a whole world of financial strategy opens up. All of a sudden, a huge chunk of those crushing operating costs become tax-deductible business expenses. The crew's salaries, business expense. Fuel for the charter trips, business expense. Insurance, repairs, even docking fees can often be written off against the charter income. But the real magic trick is depreciation. Under tax codes like Section 179 in the US, a business can often deduct a huge part, sometimes even the full purchase price of a new asset in the first year. The rules are complex and they change, but the principle is this. Someone with a high income could buy a yacht, put it in charter, and potentially use that massive depreciation deduction to wipe out a huge piece of their income tax bill. Then, the money from the charters themselves helps cover the rest of the operating costs. A popular charter yacht can bring in hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars a year. The yacht effectively starts paying for itself. The owner still gets to use it for a few weeks a year for their own vacations, but the rest of the time, it's a floating, money-making machine. It's no longer just a symbol of wealth, it's an active part of their wealth strategy. It acts as a tax shield, generates its own income, and they still get their vacation in the Mediterranean. They've taken one of the most ridiculously indulgent luxuries you can imagine and wrapped it in a financial structure that slashes its cost and boosts its utility. They've turned an item that signals the end of a fortune into a tool for preserving it. They aren't just buying a boat, they're buying a business that happens to look like a boat. Next, we're diving into how old money uses something as personal as art and as fun as collectible cars to build their fortunes. But before we do, if you're finding this look behind the velvet rope of generational wealth useful, take a second to subscribe. We put out videos that decode the strategies of the wealthy to help you build your own legacy. So hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming. Chapter 3. Fine art as a stable and appreciating asset. Our third strategy hangs on the walls of their mansions and sits in climate-controlled vaults. It's the world of fine art. To the outsider, spending $10, $50, or $100 million on a painting seems insane. You can't live in it, you can't drive it, it just hangs there. It looks like a purely emotional purchase, a silly expense for people with more money than sense. The art market can feel shady, hard to sell in, and based on passing trends. That's the common view, and it's why most people see art collecting as a rich person's hobby, not a real investment. But for the world's most sophisticated families, fine art is one of the most powerful and flexible tools for preserving wealth. They don't see a decoration, they see a unique asset class with special properties that are crucial for long-term survival. First off, art is a fantastic store of value and a hedge against inflation. Currencies can crumble, governments can fall, and stock markets can crash. But a masterpiece by Monet or Picasso has an intrinsic global value that exists outside of any single country's economy. Art is a real thing. You can't just print more of it. Historically, the art market doesn't move in sync with stocks and bonds. So when a family stock portfolio is tanking during a recession, the value of their art collection might stay stable or even keep growing. It provides critical diversification and makes their total net worth much more resilient. The Rockefellers, a family that is basically the definition of long-term wealth, were masters of this. Over generations, they built one of the most important private art collections in history, with major works by Matisse, Monet, and Picasso. This wasn't just for decoration. They knew these paintings were pillars of their family's balance sheet. When the collection of Peggy and David Rockefeller was auctioned in 2018, it shattered records, bringing in over $832 million. A Matisse sold for a record $80.8 million, and a Monet for a record $84.7 million. A Picasso they owned fetched an incredible $115 million. This wasn't just a sale. It was the payoff of a hugely successful multi-generational investment. And in true Rockefeller style, all the money went to charity, cementing their public legacy.
But it's not just about waiting for the art to go up in value. Art offers a more advanced financial tool, leverage. High-value art isn't just a static asset, it's a source of cash. If a family needs money for a new business deal or to jump on an investment opportunity, they don't have to sell stocks or property. Instead, they can take out a loan against their art collection. Specialized banks and lenders will offer loans, often up to 50% of the art's appraised value. The family gets the cash they need, the art stays on their wall, and they avoid having to pay taxes on a sale. It's a way to unlock the value of an asset without actually giving it up. Finally, there's strategic philanthropy. Donating art to a museum can come with huge tax benefits. A family can donate a piece that's gone way up in value, get a tax deduction for the full current market value, and completely avoid paying capital gains tax on its growth. This lets them lower their tax bill, support culture, and make their family look great in public. It's a win-win-win: financial, social, and reputational. When you put it all together, appreciation, inflation hedging, diversification, leverage, and tax benefits, it's clear that fine art is not a frivolous expense. It's a hard-working financial asset. It's a concentrated, tangible form of wealth that is both beautiful and incredibly useful. Old money families don't just buy art. They build collections as a core part of a defensive, long-term financial strategy. They're building a private museum that doubles as a private bank. Chapter 4: Luxury Collectibles as Liquid, Portable Wealth. Our final strategy moves from the massive to the mobile. We're talking about luxury collectibles, rare watches, vintage cars, designer handbags, and fine jewelry. To the average person, a $100,000 Patek Philippe watch or a $500,000 vintage Ferrari is the definition of extravagance. They look like hobbies for the super rich, driven by passion and ego. And while passion is part of it, for old money families, these items serve a critical and very practical purpose. They are highly liquid, discreet, and portable stores of value. Think about other assets. Real estate is stuck in one place. A stock portfolio is digital and tied to government rules. Gold bars are heavy and a pain to move. But a rare watch or a few investment-grade diamonds can be worth millions of dollars and fit in your pocket. That portability is a strategic advantage you just can't ignore. In times of war, economic collapse, or when a family needs to move money across borders quietly, these small, high-value items are unmatched. They're a kind of universal currency, recognized and valued by a global network of collectors and dealers. And the market for these items isn't just a whim, it's a mature investment class tracked by indexes like the Knight Frank Luxury Investment Index. This index follows the performance of assets like cars, watches, wine, and art. While things go up and down, certain categories have seen incredible long-term growth. For instance, over the past decade, rare whiskey is up 280%, classic cars are up 82%, and fine wine is up 146%. Even with some recent dips, luxury watches have grown by 138% over 10 years. This isn't just a hobby, it's a market with real, data-backed returns. Take the classic car market. A 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO is more than just a car. It's a piece of automotive history. Only 36 were ever made. In 2018, one sold for $48.4 million at auction. Another one reportedly sold privately for over $70 million. These aren't just cars, they're blue-chip assets. Families who have held on to these cars for decades have seen their investment crush many traditional stocks. The same logic applies to high-end watches. A Patek Philippe Grand Master chime is one of the most complicated watches ever built. It's a multi-million-dollar work of art for your wrist. Or look at the Hermes Birkin bag, which is famous for being a Veblen good, an item that gets more desirable as it gets more expensive. These bags are almost impossible to get from the store and have a huge resale market where they can go for several times their original price. They are real assets whose value is protected by their scarcity and brand power. What these families get is the importance of having some of their wealth outside the traditional financial system. These collectibles are a form of escape capital. They can be moved easily, passed down with minimal paperwork, and sold in established auction houses from New York to Hong Kong. The history of ownership, the provenance, is a huge part of their value, and the family's famous name often adds to that history, creating a cycle where value keeps reinforcing itself. Plus, these items are a more personal and engaging way to pass wealth to the next generation. Giving your kid a stock certificate is abstract, but giving them the watch their great-grandfather wore, explaining its history, its craftsmanship, and its value, that's a powerful lesson in stewardship. It teaches them to appreciate not just the money, but the legacy inside the object itself. So while these items might look like indulgent toys, they are a vital part of a sophisticated wealth diversification strategy. They're a hedge against total system collapse, a form of portable and private capital, and a physical link between generations. Old money doesn't just collect expensive things, They build a portable treasury to make sure that no matter what happens in the world, a part of the family's wealth is safe, mobile, and in their control. As we've seen, the gap between temporary riches and generational wealth isn't just about the numbers in a bank account. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's the difference between seeing luxury as an expense and understanding it as an asset. For the 90% of families who lose it all, luxury is the finish line. It's the prize for all their hard work, something to be used up and shown off. A mansion is a status symbol that drains money. A yacht is a toy that sinks cash. Art is just decoration. A watch is just jewelry. This mindset of consumption, of treating capital as something to be spent, is the very reason that shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves proverb is so true. But for the families who build dynasties, the Rockefellers and their modern equivalents, luxury is just another tool in the long, slow, and deliberate game of keeping wealth. Their philosophy is all about utility and stewardship. A mansion becomes a self-funding business. A yacht becomes a tax-smart charter company. A painting becomes a stable, appreciating asset that can be used for cash. And a classic car becomes a private, portable bank account. Their secret isn't one magic investment or a single tax loophole. It's a disciplined philosophy that guides every major decision. Capital is sacred. Wealth isn't something you spend, it's something you manage. And the things you buy, even the most luxurious ones, must ultimately serve the main goal of preserving that capital for generations that aren't even born yet. They are playing a different game, not measured in years, but in centuries. And the best part is that this mindset isn't just for billionaires. The principles of thinking long-term, of knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, and of looking for ways to make your purchases work for you can be applied at any level. It's about shifting your own perspective from consumption to stewardship. It is that philosophy, more than any trust fund or stock portfolio, that forms the true foundation of an unbreakable family legacy. If you want to keep learning how to apply these long-term wealth strategies to your own life, make sure you're subscribed and click the video on your screen now for our deep dive into the 7 financial habits that separate the rich from the truly wealthy. Thanks for watching.